Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a technology that might just change the way we eat forever. We're talking about food that's safer, fresher, and all without a lick of heat.
Okay, let's start with a really simple question. Have you ever wondered why that store-bought juice just never tastes quite like it's freshly squeezed? You know what I'm talking about. Well, the answer, believe it or not, comes down to how we make that juice safe enough to drink in the first place. And that brings us to the trouble with heat. For what, over 100 years now, our main weapon against bad bacteria in food has been heat, right? Pasteurization. It definitely works, but it's not without its downsides. See, when you heat something up, you're not just zapping the germs. You're also, well, you're cooking it. You're breaking down all those delicate flavors, those vitamins, the texture. That's exactly why that juice tastes a little off or cooked. But what if you didn't need the heat at all? And that's where something called high pressure processing, or HPP, comes in. Instead of heat, it uses, well, just what it sounds like, immense pressure. And the result? Food that's closer to its natural state, keeping all that freshness, taste, and nutrition. Okay, so how on earth do you squeeze a bottle of juice to make it safer without, just completely smushing it? The science behind this is, honestly, it's just incredible. All right, first, I need you to picture an insane amount of pressure. Think of the deepest spot on Earth, the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Got it? Okay, now imagine pressure almost 10 times greater than that. Yeah, we are talking about something in the neighborhood of 600 megapascals. That's about 87,000 pounds per square inch. I mean, that number is it's almost meaningless. It's so huge. So let's try a different way to picture it. Picture this, 200 full-grown elephants, and they're all standing on top of a single piston. That's the kind of insane force we're talking about. And yet, the food comes out looking perfect, not crushed at all. So how is that even possible? It all comes down to a key piece of physics called the isostatic principle. See, if you squeeze something in your hand, you're pushing from two sides, right? But with HPP, the pressure comes from every single direction at the exact same time. It's perfectly uniform, perfectly even. And that immense balanced squeeze is what kills the bacteria without messing up the shape of the food. And look, this visual shows it perfectly. That bottle of juice is floating in water, and it's the water that's pressing in on it from all sides. Every single point on the surface gets the exact same amount of pressure. The result? The germs are gone, but the bottle? It looks like nothing even happened. Okay, so we've got the principle down. Now let's actually take a peek inside the pressure chamber and see how this all works in a real factory. The whole cycle is actually pretty simple when you break it down. Step 1, you load the packaged food into this big metal chamber. Step 2, you fill that chamber with water. Remember, the water is key. Step 3, powerful pumps crank up the pressure to that insane level and hold it there for just a few minutes. And then, step 4, you release the pressure, open it up, and pull out the finished product. And here's what those machines look like in real life. We're not talking about some small gadget in a lab. These things are massive industrial beasts. They can process thousands of pounds of food an hour. Think guacamole, deli meats, all those juices, making them safer and helping them last way longer on the shelf. But what else can this pressure do? I mean, this technology goes way beyond just making your juice taste a little better. It turns out, if you start playing with the pressure and the temperature, you can do all sorts of cool things. Just look at how versatile this is. If you use lower pressures when it's super cold, you can actually flash freeze or thaw food, and it creates these tiny little ice crystals that don't damage the food's texture. But if you crank up the pressure and the heat a bit, you can get full-on sterilization. We're talking about products that don't even need to be refrigerated. So where are you most likely to run into HPP products at the grocery store? Well, juices and beverages are the big one. No surprise there. That's about a third of the market. But you'll also find it used all the time for things like fruit and veggie products, think fresh guacamole or salsa, and even for meats and seafood. But to really see the magic, you have to zoom way, way in, down to the microscopic level. On the left, you've got the cells of a fresh carrot, nice and intact. Now, look at the middle. That's after HPP. See how the cells are still in pretty great shape? But then, look at the right. That's what heat does. It just obliterates the cell structure. That right there is the difference between crisp and mush.
And this isn't just a niche thing. It's going global, and it's growing fast. The US is definitely leading the charge with about 150 of these machines running. But you also see countries like Mexico, which makes a ton of that guacamole we were talking about, and Spain really embracing this technology too.
Okay, so if this HPP stuff is so amazing, you've got to be asking, why isn't everything in the grocery store made this way? Well, like with any game-changing tech, there are still a few hurdles.
The big ones are cost and packaging. For now, HPP is just more expensive than the old school heat treatment. You also have to use special flexible packaging that's totally waterproof to handle all that pressure. And it's not a silver bullet for everything. Some really tough bacterial spores can survive it at low temperatures, so sometimes you still need a little bit of heat to get the job done for certain products. But even with those challenges, the real reason HPP is taking off is us. It's the consumers. We want fresher food, we want more natural food. And because this process makes food so safe, companies can cut back on all those artificial preservatives and other additives. And that means cleaner ingredient labels, which is something a lot of us are really looking for these days. So that kind of leaves us with this final, really big thought. For our entire lives, we've basically accepted a trade-off, right? Either food is super fresh, but it spoils in a couple of days, or it lasts forever, but it's super processed. High-pressure processing just completely throws that idea out the window. It makes you wonder, what if we really didn't have to choose anymore?